Hey guys, I wanted to come to you and just say thank you as leaders for all that you did to serve at Mission 1045. It was a really outstanding time of being able to bless our community and serve our community like Jesus has served us. And I just wanted to say thank you to Chad and Sarah and to all of you who provided great leadership and service to so many people in our community. So many people came through. I speculate it was close to 200 people. It's just a guess on my part as to how many people came through and were blessed. And I just wanted to say thank you, thank you, thank you. It was a great day for our church. And I wanted to share just a little bit of my heart with you as I've been reflecting a little bit. Some of you have sensed some discouragement about where our church is at over the last couple of weeks. And you probably perceived it rightly. And we want to be an open and honest and grace-filled leadership team. And so I want to just share that you probably have perceived that rightly between me and some of the other elders. There's been some apathy that we have sensed in our body in recent weeks. You know, it seemed like we moved into Smoky Hill as a gathered meeting location, and there was some momentum there. And then over the last several weeks, things have really trailed off as far as volunteering and attendance and all kinds of other things. And I want to share this with you so that you hear this. Now more than ever, Julianne and I and the elders as a whole are invested here. We want to see the church grow and have a huge impact on the city. I am not polishing up my resume. I'm not talking with churches in the Midwest. I'm here. I want to be here. We met with a mortgage broker a couple of days ago to look at qualifying to buy a home here along Smoky. We want to be here. We feel like God has called us to be here. And we delight to be a part of your lives and to do ministry together and be a part of the mission of God here. And that's what makes some of this lack of excitement and some of this apathy just kind of discouraging, quite frankly. And the apathy hasn't come from you guys whatsoever as leaders. You have been so invested and passionate and committed, and we're so thankful for each of you. But definitely in other parts of our body, we have seen that apathy. We've had some people pull away from the church for various reasons. In general, we've had a lack of commitment to our gathering on Sundays. I met with the district guy for Converge last week and described what it's like to have a Sunday where we had a couple of visiting families come, and we had 35 people sitting in the seats during the message time, and he just covered his face to the face palm when I described that to him because he knows this reality. He said, why does it have to happen like that? It's hard. It's hard to grow as a church when that's the reality, when people just aren't showing up. And in some times of prayer and reflection this last week, I think God has led me to some insight about where we're at as a church, and I want to just share that with you. Some of the apathy we've sensed in our body has been unquestionably spiritual. The enemy wants to do whatever he can. He's the father of lies. He lied from the beginning, and he wants to do whatever he can to lie to people, to draw them away from our church, to create schisms between people, to deflate passion, to lead people to other things. It's just so true. To create apathy, a laissez-faire attitude about whatever happens with the church, no big deal. The enemy's working really hard, I think, to just squelch what we're doing. That is absolutely something we've seen. And the elders have been praying. You need to know that for several weeks now, the elders have sensed that and have been praying that for our church. Some of us have done prayer walks in our community, and we've prayed for the community. We prayed near the school. We prayed in the school. Because the reality is there are probably many things, dark things, that are happening within the school, and many spiritual battles that are happening even within the school. And so we prayed in the name of Jesus against anything that is seeking to squelch this passion in our church. And so we've been praying that. We've been praying for our church as a whole, and we've met on a weekly basis. And so some of it is unquestionably spiritual. But I was asked a question by a church planting coach last week, and it was a very good question. He said, so what are you and Julianne doing to create this spirit of apathy in your church? And it was a question that took me back a little bit. What if it is not spiritual was the question. What are you doing in your leadership that's creating this apathy in your church? My first response was, well, what do you mean? I don't want there to be apathy in my church. I want the antithesis of that. I don't want that to be there. Experts say that a church grows to reflect the personality of the planter after about 5 years. And most of our people have been here about 2 to 3 years. And there are some really good things about that. I think, I'm not trying to toot my own horn here, but I think this is the reality. I think I am naturally a servant leader. I spent the first several years of our plant towing and loading the trailer every single week. I didn't complain about it. I just did it, and I kept doing it even when I should have been out talking with people as the lead pastor trying to gather them. I knew that it had to be done. And both Julianne and I have always wanted to be people who are in the midst of the ministry doing it with you. I was once told that you shouldn't follow a leader who's not willing to do what he's asking you to do. And that's what we've tried to do. I think that's good advice. If there's something that needs to be done, we've stepped in to help you do it, to help do it. And some of you have become such incredible servant leaders as a result of that. You are awesome. You are so committed. If there's something that needs to get done, you've been so willing to step in and to fill a role that needs to be filled. And I think the rest of our church, however, has struggled to get this. Some of you have been such great, incredible servant leaders. And Jesus calls us to be servant leaders, which is awesome. And so many of you are becoming like Christ in that way. The problem is, because we, Julianne and I included, have been so willing to step in and take care of a role that needs to be filled. So much so that the elders have even pushed back against me and us doing things in recent days. And so many of you are just willing to do that too. I think that in the rest of our church, it's created a sense of apathy with regard to their serving. The elephant in the room, as we talk here, is that we have a volunteer problem. This shows up not just in the holes in our roles, but in the holes in our rows. Boy, I hope that doesn't go viral on YouTube. But people not showing up for our gathering and people not showing up to volunteer. I did some analysis this week about all of the areas that we have to serve in, and all of the people who are currently serving. And you need to know this, that we have 3 people who, not including me, 3 people who are serving in 6 areas or more, and those are the 3 either elders or elders in training. They're serving in those ministry areas. And you should expect that from your elders or elders in training. We have 6 people, including those 3, who are serving in 5 areas or more. We have 10 people who are serving in 4 areas or more, and we have 14 people who are serving in 3 areas or more, which is a lot. This chart accounts for that. So you can see that there are 14 people serving in 3 areas or more of our ministry. 14 people pulling an exorbitant amount of weight. That's of a possible 103 volunteer opportunities, everything from life group leader to apprentice to towing the trailer to set up to crosswalk to greeting on Sunday mornings, to playing in the band, to communion. 103 volunteer opportunities each week. And these 14 people are taking up 61 of those opportunities. 14 people, 20% roughly of our people who would call themselves a part of our church, do 59% of the ministry in our church. 14 people, 20%, do 59% of the ministry in our church. That's the 80-20 rule. It proves it to a T. And here's the reality. It kills a small church that's trying to grow. And several of you have come to me just tired and discouraged in conversation and just frustrated that we're having a hard time getting volunteers to commit and getting people to show up. And that needs to change. We as a church need to get more people serving across the board. in more areas of ministry. I don't want to see people serving in 6 areas of ministry anymore. It's too much. It's too much. It's not healthy. It's not helpful for a growing church. So I want to ask you to join me in just journeying in this way of seeking to grow our volunteers. I want to propose a path forward for us as leaders to increase the level of volunteering in our church.